Hey there, welcome to the first live for Dream Again Marketing. I'm Dominic, I'm the head marketer, I'm the designer, copywriter, all that good stuff at Dream Again Marketing. Anyhow, so what we're doing is we're spending about 15-20 minutes or so talking about um, lead generation, right? I think a ton of us have a really good sense of how to take care of our clients. We have a fantastic skill set or a fantastic, a process we can deliver. But the real big problem that we have is how to get people in the pipeline. How do you get people in the funnel? So there's a bunch of different ideas. And what I'm doing in these next 15-20 minutes is I'm pulling in Lisa from lisamgale.com. She's a web designer and a marketer and a mom of 5 and a out of Nashville, Tennessee. So she is fantastic. So let's get her on the call. And let's give her a second here.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine.
Awesome. How are you doing?
So good. So you just wrapped up a week of camping, am I right?
With 5 kids.
And you were working on top of it, right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, not very hard, but I did get work done. You've got I do hotspot Wi-Fi and just sit in the camper or sit outside, but I have to actually sit in the camper because as neighbors walk by, we end up talking to everyone, and it's just, yeah. No, the floating work desk, I kind of have to hide it in my camper, but yeah, it's so fun. We've got like 4 more trips planned this summer too.
That's awesome. I love the fact that you have the freedom to be able to do that. Kids make memories, and obviously you keep making the business work.
Yes,
So
exactly.
so can you give your 30-second background into how you got into marketing? You've got this hilarious story on your website about how you quit what you were doing and you started this food co-op out of your kitchen because Whole Foods is just too expensive. And I hear you, I shop at Whole Foods and it
Yes.
hurts. So, and then you got into websites and marketing.
Yeah, so for the food club, I was doing all of the website backend stuff, and it was really difficult. It was all PHP and HTML stuff. And
Oh, yeah.
when my husband had the opportunity to get an extra job as a janitor to help us make ends meet, he's a teacher, so his salary is not that big. And so I said, just give me one more chance. I can figure this out. And at the time, I was competing against people who do Upwork, or back then it was called guru.com, but now you've got Upwork and Fiverr. These people can offer services somewhat similar to mine with a language barrier for $1 to $4 an hour. I can't compete there, so I thought I'm just going to go do it on my own. And I started walking around to every business owner I knew, shaking their hand and saying, here's what I'm offering. Anything. Do you need anything done? And then that's how the business is born.
Oh, wow. So you literally pressed the flesh. You went out and actually met people and built your pipeline that way.
To begin, I
Mm.
started with people I knew locally. They trusted me because they knew I was running this food club out of my house. So they thought, well, she has all those children, but she's getting things done, so maybe I can trust her. And I do have the corporate background experience, so I
Mhm.
wasn't a total newbie. But then when I really wanted to kick it into high gear and actually grow outside of my local network of people I knew and relatives giving referrals, I started actually very organically. I wanted to grow my own business, and I joined a group of people on a 30-day challenge to grow their business, and I found my first
Mhm.
4 clients in there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I knew what I was offering was what people wanted,
Mhm.
and being able to have the confidence knowing that people wanted it helped me to branch out even further.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, let's go from there. So the first question that I'd like to, like I said, I'm just roundtabling it. No pressure, just airing ideas and stuff. So first question has to, so with lead generation, how are people usually doing it wrong? And let's go with the parameters of, you don't have $1,000 to blow on ad spend, um, and let's say that you're working remotely, or the kinds of clients don't live near you, and it's impractical to be driving an hour a day to meet with the right kinds of people. So it's primarily going to be online. You don't have a budget for for advertising. What thoughts do you have? Maybe what are you doing along those lines?
Right. So a lot of people think, and this may have been the case 3 to 4 years ago, that you could grab a Facebook ad right when they started, you can pop in your audience so you can grow your list. That was possible for very cheap. However, you were going to still spend a lot of money with practicing. You're still going to spend, $500 testing your market first. But one of the things that people fail to do is find the audience first. I'm going through this with a client right now who came to me with her 4 courses written, and she wanted me to sell them. But I'm marketing, I'm not sales. And so it's really interesting trying to guide her along how this online industry works, how passive income works, and how you can't just kind of set a course out there without an audience and they'll find it and buy it. That is not how it works. So a lot of people think that the Facebook ad is a great way to go. And then when they start to hear that the minimum ad spend per month would be about $1,000 in order to have any success, they start to back away. And that's if you have a really good audience. If you do not have any audience and you're working with a cold audience, it's going to be a slower build to try and get those people in. But a couple of the things you can do is to network with people, find where they are. So like you and I found each other on LinkedIn. We're both service professionals servicing other businesses primarily. And so those people are on LinkedIn. It makes sense for us to go, connect with people in an authentic way. Like, it's memorable. You're memorable and you stand out because we've had actual human conversations. A lot of people just think they can set like some automation autoresponder. Everybody's into automation. It's dead. It's dead. Personalized things. You have to, or you're not going to get anything. But if you want to grow your audience with quality leads, personal connections, one place that is really popular right now, because Facebook's algorithm is just junk for anyone who's trying to build a business online, is to go into Facebook groups and add value. Comment, network, answer questions, ask questions you would ask people to your ideal client. What do they struggle with? What words do they use?
I don't know if somebody said it, but maybe I did. But the best time to start marketing is 6 months before.
Yeah, it's true.
You show up in a group and you don't pitch anything, you don't sell, you just be a friend. Just get to know people, make friends. 6 months later, you've built up that the equity, the trust that this person's not a hit and run marketer. It's silly how many people are talking on, especially on LinkedIn. That's where we live a lot. I do anyway. They talk about here's what it takes to be a good marketer, and then these beginners who are probably desperate for income, who need to make their business, and I get it, they need to make their business work, and they think that just dumping their link and running, with never actually having talked to the person, it's the same as somebody walking into your ice cream shop and handing you a business card and say, hey, I could make your business incredible, and then they turn around and walk away, and they're like, okay, in the bin,
Right. But so don't you think that people who go get it is saying, yes, most clients don't get adding value. So when you're adding value, can you outsource all of that? Not typically. Like everyone's like, oh, you just hire someone and you outsource everything to them. If you do not start participating and really, putting your blood, sweat, and tears equity into this, you're not going to see maximum growth. You said 6 months of investing your time in order to have and that would be for a really good launch, right? That is so essential. And does anyone who come to you when they first want their marketing done think that? It's like, no, now we have to start working backwards. So let's do a 6-month program where I'm going to dig deep into your business and figure it out and figure out the best way to generate leads, but you're going to participate. You're going to put some, blood on the table too. It's not just going to be me. I can't do it alone.
You can't outsource your marketing. I think that's the thing. You can outsource advertising, but you can't outsource marketing. And I think that's a really interesting distinction. I can't remember the name of the lady, but she was on LinkedIn. She's one of the top LinkedIn voices. And she shared this really interesting insight about advertising. She was saying that whether it's influencer marketing today or running an ad in any of the numerous magazines from, that are popular today or in the last century, what you're essentially doing with that ad is you're borrowing trust. that influencer or that magazine has created an environment of trust with that audience. And you're stepping in there and paying for access to that audience.
Yeah.
So you're borrowing that trust. Same sort of thing with advertising is, if you don't have any of that trust built up, you then have to start going around and trying to find it. But it's not marketing. Like I said, you can't throw money at something and really expect it to work if, you know, your existing clients aren't excited to talk about you. Like, basically, if your service isn't amazing,
Yes.
then you're going to have a very hard time putting lipstick on this pig.
Well, and you want to hear from your existing clients what it is that serve them best about what you've done for them. And you can take that and you can start to kind of package that up, and you can get a team and you can outsource your brain by putting things down or speaking to someone. If you speak better but you don't write well, you can talk to someone, you know, weekly meetings, you know, a team could come in and take what's in your brain and bring it to the world, your expertise, on your behalf. But it's not like a set it and forget it kind of thing. Now you could go to any, you know, place and find a marketer, and you could pay them, you know, $3,000 to $5,000 a month, or $100 or $200 a month. You're not going to see a return unless there's really some strategic move forward, and they have to understand your industry as well. If you're just trying to, you know, generate leads for whatever, like, you've got to have someone who's like, well, you're, you know, for me, I work with a lot of lawyers, attorneys, and like spa estheticians, local businesses. Like, I get that market and how to bring people through the door, and it's different for all of those. And there's different strategies, but it can be done. It's just, you know, setting up all of these systems to work. And then it's like you're not casting a wide net, but you're setting kind of little traps along the way. So when the perfect person lands on your site, like, let's say for an attorney, so for a divorce attorney specifically, you know, Bob or Susie's up at 3 in the morning. They're disturbed, depressed. You know, they've got children. They're about to get a divorce. They don't know what to do. They don't want to tell any of their friends either. So they're not going to ask their friend for a referral always. Some of them might confide and ask a friend for a referral. So there's one lead generation system, is referrals. So, by the way, stay in contact with all of your past clients. Consistently put yourself in front of them. Maintain communication. Ask how you can help. Call them, whatever. Or an email system of newsletters. Secondly, Bob or Susie at 3 in the morning, if they landed on your page through Google Business, because you had a really good listing on there, or if your SEO is pretty on point and they find your website, if they're not quite ready to take the plunge and they don't give you their information, you will never hear from them again. They will not remember what string of searches and clicks brought them to your website. You have to have a lead capture system on your site. And it has to be more than sign up for my newsletter. I'm awesome and I say great things. So that's not going to be what they do. It's you're building the know, like, and trust factor, like you said.
Yeah. Go get it. Kudos for joining. He made a really great point. Essentially, investing in trust, and it's true. There's what I found is so funny is you've got this. We'll call it like the 3 phases maybe of business in my mind. You've got this sliver down the bottom, you've got this chunk in the middle, sliver at the top, right? So you've got down the bottom, you've got your small business in person, your mom and pop, where trust and meeting people and actually, you know, knowing the person intimately and liking them is the basis for good business. And then you get sort of the middle part where you're like, well, I think we can dispense with that because we can do advertising and we don't actually have to personalize. And that's where most businesses are, and that's why we have a hard time trusting so many of them. You get to the top part. This is where the millionaires are. What do? They don't talk business. They have golf. They have dinner, and they have you over for family, you know, and they get to know who you are as a person, because whether you're at the top or at the bottom, you're at a point where I'm making a massive investment in you. It could be, you know, it could be 500, it could be 5 million, but relative, you know, to the people, it's the same situation. I want to know that you're somebody I can trust, you know, and that we're going to do well together. There's this hilarious little moment in that show. What's it called? Ozark. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's a rough show. But
I love it. Love it. I love
hilarious.
it. Yeah.
So I think it was season 2, and what was the mafia guy? I don't remember his name, but he's this Latino, you know, macho mafia guy. And then he pulls the hero over and he says, you know, that guy, he never stops talking about business, right? Even when we're out here having golf, that's how you know he's not somebody you want to work with.
Right.
And that mentality is kind of, that's how I approach, like coming to LinkedIn, or like that sort of 6-month process. You know, you start now not talking about business, get to know the people. Obviously, it's a massive investment. We're talking huge thinking ahead. So if you need to do it in the short term, what are some things that have worked for you?
Okay, so if we're not talking about the 6-month build-up and the constant commenting on people's posts and inbox, marketing, that is something that, like, I personally don't have the time for. I've got my agency, I've got my subcontractors, they have to get paid. So I got to get down to, work
Exactly.
majority of the day. One thing I've been very bad at over the years is building my own business, like taking the time to really focus on building it, my own leads. So that is something that if you have the ability to kind of do both, it's so great. But if you're just kind of getting out there, so I wrote some things down. One thing that if you were ever to invest in Facebook ads and you have a list of people, so let's say you have a few leads, and you know that these leads could turn into potential buyers, you could run Facebook ads just to them, specifically just to them. LinkedIn, I think it's like maybe 10 times the cost, maybe even more. So LinkedIn ads is still a really tough market. That's going to be for like your big, like, Mercedes can run LinkedIn ads, where the rest of us are not really going to play in there very often. But on Facebook, if you have the people's email addresses, you can upload a list of emails and start to send them ads. Make sure that you email them, but 30% open rate standard. Go ahead and send them a Facebook ad as well that gets you in front of them consistently. And then a lead magnet. So you put a lead magnet on your website that speaks to your ideal buyer and what they might be interested in. There is basically the easiest way to create a lead magnet is to do free consultations with people. What do they ask you? Write down all the answers to those questions, put it in a format that can be consumed, and put it out there. You're going to get some people who are interested who stumble on your site that way. If it's really popular, get an ad running to it. Again, you're going to be paying for that. But so one of the best ways on Facebook, on LinkedIn, obviously, we talked about where you're commenting on people's posts, you're connecting with people, you're adding, value to what they're already doing. And on Facebook, in groups, that is going to be where the people are, where you can start to connect with people, talk to people in there, find groups where your ideal buyer lives, getting on podcasts. So like kind of what you and I are doing here, doing the, if people do a Facebook Live show, let them know you're interested by adding value. Referrals, asking your existing or past clients for referrals, or going out to lunch with people, going out to coffee with people. Sometimes, the lawyer thing. So for lawyers, if you're a lawyer specializing in like employee litigation, someone comes to you and they're like, I need a divorce attorney because I don't know anything about the law world, refer me to someone. Then go ahead and, make sure that the attorneys in town all know you, and they will refer people to you. The last thing is a reputation management system. You have to have a way for people to offer their feedback that is good before you only get bad feedback. A lot of people will take the time out of their day to tell people when someone has done them wrong, but people will not leave reviews always if they've been, had a great experience with you. So if you ask people up front and you grow those reviews, to be just, really honest from the heart and helpful, then when people are searching for you, you're automatically going to stand out. Mm-hmm. Those are some tips. I'm sure I have more.
No, I'm sure we could go on for ages.
I know we could.
It's a business that we think about. And just speaking of reviews, there's this guy that I love following. His name is Andrew Davis, and he had a video he put out as one of his Loyalty Loop series, talking about the honeymoon moment, which is the best moment to capture that review. It's when it's before the glow has faded from how wonderful the experience of the service was, or the event, or the delivery, or whatever. Don't wait too long, but pay attention to after you've delivered it, they've had time maybe to use it, maybe get some great feedback from people. That's when you want to be asking for the review, when they're really excited, because you want those happy, emotional, reviews. You don't want the 2 months later. Yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
awesome.
What did you do for me again? It's so true. So in that can be hard for people who provide a consistent service to, like for me, my packages are monthly. So people are kind of always on the train. And so it can be hard to kind of figure out exactly when, but the sweet spot for me seems to be about 3 months in. Just ask, how's everything going? And you can kind of read their tone. If they're happy and emotional about it, that's a good time to go ahead and, if they can identify what it is that you've done for them that's changed it for them, that's the time to ask them for the review, because it's going to be honest, heartfelt, and it's going to be descriptive.
Right. And also they have the experience of working with you, right? So like for us, we're both in websites, and then there's, support or marketing. I would imagine you'd want a review after the website process,
Yeah.
right? And then I would imagine 6 months later, or a year later or something, but certainly then go back and say, okay, now we've spent this much time together. How have you enjoyed the relationship, the support, or how has the marketing been? To my mind, you get twice as many reviews that way on your Google profile or Facebook or whatever, instead of just the one and then never asking again. But it's a huge opportunity for feedback. And of course, if you're really committed to transparency and honesty and whatever, asking them, don't just leave a great review, but I really want feedback. Perhaps give me one area where I can grow, where we can do better together. And then, hey, that's going to be public, of course, but that gives you then a chance to respond, and then in the next 2 days, demonstrate, here's how it's changing, and here's how we're becoming an even stronger company.
Yeah.
And now it's on record. So that's a positive thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Good deal. So for somebody who doesn't have a budget, and for somebody who's working remotely, what would be one top tip that you recommend? So obviously, getting people to your website is the thing, and finding your client is where it basically is your lead generation. Like once you could get them in conversation, if you're good at what you do, you can probably warm them up, cultivate, nurture that lead and whatnot. But that first step, getting them in the pipeline at all, do you have one tip maybe that you'd like to leave with us?
Well, first get clear about who it is you're helping. If you're not clear about who they are and what it is about them that makes them tick, or what their business goals are or struggles, it's going to be hard to have a conversation. But really, once you can figure out where they live, starting to send inbox messages that are really honest, tailored toward them, and then even making it a point, like I connected with this person. If you have like an Excel sheet, connect with them again, or make it a point to go and comment on their posts or read their articles, or just cultivate a relationship of giving. The more you give, the more you're going to get. And that doesn't especially if you're starting up and building your list, you're going to see that people are going to take notice of that. They'll remember you.
I have a sneaky suspicion, haven't proved it yet, but I have a suspicion that if you're messaging people on LinkedIn, that's like the highest value one-to-one you can have, and it's going to show up on your feed. So if you're messaging and you're being good about it, and they're happy to talk back to you, you're going to see each other on the feeds, which is ultimately, the algorithm is like downplaying people you're not interested in. So if you're messaging them, it would make sense that you're going to see them as well, and you're going to show up more regularly, which is, that's the goal. But building that trust, having those relationships.
I know that if LinkedIn is constantly showing me that Dominic has, commented on something, or it's prioritizing things that you've commented on, because it knows that you and I are interested in the same things. And that is not the case for all the people that I communicate one-on-one, but specifically those who I have a relationship with, who I like the articles that they like, or we both comment on something or whatever. It really does prioritize that for me. So I think you're onto something.
Well, it's been 20 minutes. Thank you so much for your time. That was fast. We should do it again.
Yes.
I was thinking it would be hilarious if I start doing this every week. I might call it Living the Dream.
I love that.
It's just too dumb not to use.
No, it's perfect. I'm so bad with like puns and stuff. So when other people think of them, like, you're just so creative. Your brain just works. I love it. I love that.
Okay, I think I'll do it.
Awesome.
Thank you for watching. If you're getting the replay, Lisa's website is lisamgale.com. And please do check her out. And this is Dream Again Marketing, and you just watched the first episode of Living the Dream.
I love it.
All right. Have a wonderful day. Catch you later.
Awesome. Bye, Dominic.